What is up guys, Andy Forrestine Runner here, and today I'm going to be going through with you guys my top 5 running shoe midsoles. It's coming up close to a year now since we've really started taking running shoe reviews relatively seriously on this channel, and it's been an absolute blast to try out all the different shoes that we have, including so many different midsoles in these shoes. And for me, a midsole really shapes how a shoe is going to be, how long the duration it will last, how comfortable the ride will be. And today I wanted to share with you guys my top 5 favourite midsoles. We have tried no less than FUELCELL, FRESHFOAM, FRESHFOAM X, Cushlon, React, a little bit of Zoom X in the Pegasus Turbo 2, Power Run, standard EVA stuff that you would find in the HOKA RINCON, for example, ProFly, Flight Foam Blast, and probably some others in some older ASICS shoes. So today I'm going to narrow those down to my top 5, and we're going to go through them, starting with number 5. Okay, so starting at number 5, and I realised I didn't even list this on the list that I just said, is a Boost midsole. Now, I'm relatively new, as I said, within a year of really taking running shoe reviews seriously, so I am not of the era where Boost is life, but hearing all about Boost and trying to learn a little bit more about Boost, I had to try and get my hands on a pair of shoes, which is very difficult when you're UK size 13, because ADIDAS never ever launch their running shoes in a UK size 13. It seems to be that after 6 to 12 months they'll release some bigger sizes, but for me to get my hands on a pair of the Ultra Boost 19 was a bit of a rare find. And I've got to say, I absolutely, contrary to so many other running shoe reviewers, I loved the Ultra Boost 19, so much so that I actually retired it early so I could keep it for my daily walking around casual trainer. It is such not only a good looking shoe, but the Boost midsole is phenomenal. And I've got to be honest with you, I cannot wait to try and get my hands on another pair of 13 and a half ADIDAS shoes, try out the light stripe material, and also get some more Boost under my belt, because this thing has been an absolute blast. And despite the fact that the weight of this shoe was meant to be a daily trainer, to be perfectly honest with you, I used it quite a lot on tempo runs, some interval work, and long runs. It was an absolute gem on a long run, and for me it was just such a great find. I totally understood why Boost was considered life. Of course, there are plenty more other great midsoles that have come out since then, and I understand people saying that Boost needed to evolve and move on a little bit, but for me, as my first taste of it, it was a really great shoe. Coming in at number 4 is FRESHFOAM X, and my goodness, wasn't this a welcome upgrade from the original FRESHFOAM. I was so nervous when I purchased the 1080 version 10s, because quite honestly, I didn't particularly get on well, again, contrary to so many of you guys, with the Beacon version 2. It was a great lightweight shoe, an absolutely fantastic bit of kit out there for anything between 6 to 10 miles. But I really did find that anything after that, the midsole was just too firm. I remember doing a 2.5 hour long run in that shoe, and my legs and feet were on fire. It was just way too firm, and it was never a midsole that warmed up for me. So when I heard about FRESHFOAM X, it was meant to be a little bit softer, a little bit more responsive, I thought I better try it. You know, everyone's raving about the 1080 version 10. I need to get my hands on a pair and see if the X version is any different. And my word, it is so much better, which means I cannot wait for the release of the Beacon version 3, because in theory, it's going to be this thing, but in a very much lighter weight package, which will be a fantastic daily trainer, fantastic speed shoe, fantastic all-round shoe. A little bit like the Nova Blast and how I'm treating that at the moment. So when I got my hands on this, I managed to get up to 100 miles relatively quickly, and it has been an absolute dream to run in the FRESHFOAM X. The difference mainly being between the FRESHFOAM and the X is that this is just a little bit softer, it's got a little bit more pop, and it's just a little bit more cushion. So when you are on those long runs, your feet certainly don't feel as beat up as they did. And coming in at number 3 is the EVA midsole that we find in the HOKA One RINCON. I don't think this thing has a signature trademark like ProFly in the Carbon X and some of their other models. I think this is just standard EVA foam. And this would be higher up because, of course, this was my 2019 running shoe of the year. And let me tell you, I cannot wait for the RINCON 2 to come out. I know there's barely any changes whatsoever, but it's going to be great to get my hands on a fresh pair of RINCONs again. As far as I'm concerned, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just upgrade tiny little bits. Apparently it's got a better upper. That's fine by me. I cannot wait. So the reason that this thing sadly is not number 2, because it's not quite going to be number 1, is the durability factor. The midsole on this thing wore out so quickly, but I can tell you this for nothing. When I was running in this in its prime, it was an absolute joy. We set PBs in this shoe. We ran a 16:58 5k in this shoe. We ran a 1:20 half marathon. We did all sorts in this shoe. Some incredible training runs, long runs. Long runs were this thing's forte, and shorter, speedier stuff as well. There was just not a run. It reminds me of the Nova Blast now. There's just not a run in this shoe that you did that it just didn't feel right. You know, sometimes when you go out and do an easy run in a shoe, it just doesn't feel right. It feels a bit awkward. This thing covered all bases, and it did it in such a great lightweight package. There was everything about the shoe was phenomenal, and the midsole, the EVA foam in the midsole, was absolutely stunning. The perfect balance between firm responsiveness and soft cushionness. The durability could have been better, it certainly would have given the number 1 spot a good run for its money, but sadly it doesn't. And I can show you something. One of the reasons why this thing didn't quite get it is with all these exposed midsole foams. You can see here we have a thorn that's gone up inside the treads of the RINCON, and I actually, just here as well, I don't know if you guys remember, if you're an OG subscriber, I had a thorn that went right through the midsole here, came up and grazed right past the outside of my big toe. So you've got to be aware of these shoes with minimal outsole rubber. They are susceptible to things like that, but on the whole, this was a cracking midsole in its prime. Coming in at a very close second is FUELCELL. What an incredible midsole FUELCELL is. I've got to say, it was very close between this and first place. But for me, the first experience I had in FUELCELL was last year when we tried out the New Balance FUELCELL Propels. Everyone was buying the Rebels and I decided to go different and buy the Propel. It was all about the daily trainer. I needed a daily trainer at the time. As you guys know on this channel, I don't just buy shoes to review for the sake of views. I buy them because I want them to fit into my rotation. Every shoe I buy has a purpose, has a reason, and fits in to the training I'm doing. And this thing and the Propel at the time was no exception. I needed a good new daily trainer, and that thing did the job. My only flaw downside with the Propel was you just felt like you couldn't pick up the pace in it, but on the whole, it was an incredible, soft, cushioned, lightweight package. I wouldn't go as far as saying responsive. I would go as far as saying hugs your feet like marshmallows, like pillows. It's just soft. It's super soft. As you can see in the FUELCELL TC here, it is so soft. But the beauty of what they've done with this one, and we're not going to talk about it because it's not what the purpose is, but this has a carbon plate, so it shores up the FUELCELL midsole and gives it the pop that the Propel never had. So this is the perfect combination right in here with the midsole itself, but it needs the aid of a carbon plate to make that happen, and that's why it's number 2 and not number 1. But FUELCELL, if you've never tried it, you must add it to your try list. Best it coming in at number 1 is Flight Foam Blast. I actually have no words for this. You've probably seen the excessive amount of videos that I've been doing on this shoe over the last few weeks, and I'm just trying to convey a message to you guys that this thing is revolutionary from ASICS. And the reason this is number 1, as I just alluded to with the Propel, is not only is this soft, cushioned and squishy, but unlike FUELCELL midsole, it has the pop and the responsiveness that thing doesn't, and that's the only reason why it pips it, because on the whole they are such a close midsole in terms of the cushioning and how soft they are. But this thing goes that extra mile, and without a carbon plate needed, gives you that pop and responsiveness that you want. This thing is absolutely fantastic, and I've heard rumours that they're going to be incorporating this stuff into shoes a lot more in 2021, so we can look forward to that. As I said, I have no other superlatives that I can say about this midsole other than it's soft, cushioned, responsive, poppy, everything you could want in a daily trainer that makes you want to go fast. I just cannot run slow in this midsole. It is an absolute beaut, an absolute gem. And if you haven't had a chance to try it, make sure you go to, whenever you can, your local running shop when they're open back up and try this shoe on, because I can tell you, you will not regret buying it. I know a few of you have niggles with the heel counter and sometimes the toe box is a bit wide, but a lot of you have managed to work around that and I would encourage you, if you can, to try it, because it is such an incredible midsole. So there we go, that's it from me. Those are my top 5 running shoe midsoles that I've tried. But if I've missed any that you guys would like me to try, let me know in the comments below, and I'll make sure that I try. One of the ones that is on my hit list, of course, is Skechers. I've said it a fair few times, but it's really difficult to get A, Skechers in this country, and B, in my size. So I know that there's some hyperburst there for me to explore. But if there's any other ones, let me know in the comments below, and let me know what your top 5 midsoles are, or top 3, whatever you want to do. Just let me know what the best one is that you have run in. So that's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and as always, I'll see you on the next one. Until then.